Hey, when it comes to broken relationships being restored, a very critical, very crucial element of forgiveness is necessary. That goes without saying. I want to add and argue that there is another element in addition to forgiveness that is every bit as important as forgiveness when it comes to a restored relationship. And that has to do with the theme of ownership. It's well seen and well illustrated in an Old Testament story, the story of Joseph in the book of Genesis. If you have yet to check it out, please do so on your own, but I'm going to give a very high level visitation of the story. And in that story, you see the two critical elements, forgiveness and ownership, take place before restoration happens. So here's the story briefly. You have 11 very jealous brothers. 11 brothers are jealous of their kid brother, Joseph. And the short end of it is they sell him into slavery. And he's brought to the country of Egypt, a place where he does not know the culture, he does not know the language, but nevertheless, he is now a slave there. And he's a slave for a good number of years, and because of someone else's dishonesty, he is wrongfully thrown into prison. So, in addition to being a slave for multiple years, he becomes a prisoner in Egypt's prison system for multiple years. Now, I'm leaving out a lot of details, but as history would happen, Joseph, on one day, was elevated from being prisoner, for lack of better words, to prince. He became the second most powerful person in Egypt. The only person who had more authority than Joseph was Pharaoh himself. So Joseph had a lot of responsibilities running the country. I'll spare the details there, but a lot of it had to do with food and grain in Egypt. I'll just fast forward. There came a time when there was a famine all around the world, and Egypt was the country that had a lot of food. Egypt was the go-to place. So people traveled from different parts of the world to Egypt to buy food from Egypt. As it would happen, Joseph's 11 brothers came to Egypt to buy food. Now, they did not know Joseph was alive, let alone they did not know he was running the country. And since many decades had passed since they first sold him into slavery, they did not recognize him. Joseph, however, recognized them. And when he communicated with them, he didn't do so in their Hebrew language. He spoke to them in Egyptian through an interpreter. His brothers were not aware that he understood every word they spoke in their Hebrew tongue. Now, he gave them a series of tests. I'll spare those details on the test. But I will say this. There came a time when Joseph framed his youngest brother, Benjamin, for the crime of stealing his silver cup. And so Joseph was about to throw kid brother Benjamin in prison. And there was a couple things that Joseph observed. Now, through some of the dialogue, Joseph heard his brothers say, hey, it's because of our evil doing, our guilt, what we did to Joseph many years ago, that we're suffering the consequences today. He heard them say that. And when it came to throwing his kid brother Benjamin in prison for stealing his silver cup, one of the brothers, Judah, came to Joseph on bended knee and said, listen, I made a covenant with my father. I promised him my kid brother Benjamin would return home to him. I am begging you, take me prisoner instead of my kid brother Benjamin. Here you see Judah taking ownership. You see Jacob, their dad, favored Benjamin above all the brethren, just like he once favored Joseph above all the brethren. And Joseph wanted to know if they still had the jealous kick in them. But again, Judah took ownership for his wrongdoing. The 11 brothers took ownership for their wrongdoing. And it was after this that Joseph revealed his identity to his brethren. He forgave them, but the restoration really could not have taken place until those who did the wrongdoing took full ownership for the wrongdoing, blaming no one else but themselves. All right. See you next time.